Hello everybody, it's Halo Monster here for ANTILAG, and today I wanted to go over a little bit more of the Halo 2 Anniversary Forge. I got great response on my previous just general overview video, and so I kind of wanted to dive in a little bit more deeper in the Forge. So I thought that the best place would start out is spawning, because that is the biggest problem that I had getting started, is how to appropriately spawn a map. That way, the teams aren't spawning on top of each other the entire time. And I wanted to show here, I had tried to go into basic editing for pretty much my entire forging career to do everything until this game, at least that I've noticed, you can't adjust the labels unless you're in that specific game type. And so seeing how I'm just going to be going over general forging for now, I'm going to go ahead and go into Slayer and Team Slayer, because that's the map that I'll be doing. So I'm not going to do anything with player traits, editor traits. I'm just going to leave that alone and start on my map Overflow, which is a map that I've been working on for the past 2 weeks or so. And again, I don't like going into just a flat map. A lot of Forge tutorials and even other game tutorials go into these flat maps and kind of show you how to do specific things, and I guess it works. It's just, for me, it doesn't get the point across nearly as much. Say if you actually have definitive zones or areas that you'd like to turn into trait zones, spawn zones, and different things of that you can actually visually see. And so that's what I'm going to go ahead here. This is a very beautiful map as far as I'm concerned. I spent a lot of time on this, but it was kind of pointless time. It's more aesthetic than anything at this point, but I haven't gotten very far into it. Literally right now, as you can see, it is just the map. There is nothing else on it. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and go down to red base here and start where we need to. So you'll hit X to pull up your object menu, and you'll go all the way down here to spawning. And the first things you want to place is your initial spawn points. Those are what tells you as the player to spawn here first, so that you're not spawning like in crazy different places in the map. You'll hit X again after you select it to bring up your initial spawn properties, and you'll want to set that to defender for red team. Physics you can leave, spawn time you can leave, because I don't believe that it matters. But you want to go to an advanced and go down to, I'm going to turn game specific to true. That way, actually I'm going to turn it to false. That way these initial spawns will be used for every single game type and not just Slayer. If I turn this into, say, a assault map or something, I might want to change those later to true and set up my own specific spawn zone or initial spawn points for those maps. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. Symmetry you don't have to mess with. Game label you'll want to turn to team spawn. That way it knows that, hey, this is your initial spawn. But let's go ahead and throw, you'll want at least 8 initial spawns per team for your red and blue, and at least 6 for any other color, simply because red and blue are the ones that you use the most. And you'll also want your teams to kind of spawn together. That way you're not all running around the place trying to get up. If you're very organized and coordinated, you don't have to find each other. You're right there, boom, ready to go. So throw down 8 of these. Let's move these guys over a little bit. Don't want them crowded, but also want them close. There you go, there's 8. So go ahead and do the exact same thing for blue base. But for now, I'm going to jump from those to your spawn points. So go down to your menu again, and you can go straight back into spawning. It'll pull it right back up. and go down from initial spawn to respawn point, and it'll be these. On the certain affinity video, they say that they have 70 spawn points in Haven for Halo 4, and kind of that they say the more the merrier. For now, I'm going to put at least 16 inside the base, so that there's a, you're not spawning every 4 times in the same area. And I am going to change these from neutral to defender so that it guarantees that blue will not spawn inside the base because of game types like capture the flag and other so-called, what's the word? Those kind of game types that, it kind of gives you the unfair advantage of spawning inside your enemy's base. You don't really want that. So just kind of randomly throw down, like I said, I'm going to do 16 spawn points. That way you're pretty much set and ready no matter what. And then you'll want, if you're doing a multi-team, you'll want about the same amount for other teams as well, just so it's kind of a fair alignment. With spawn points, I like to kind of just copy the exact same pattern that I use from one base to the other if it's a symmetrical base, and I try to get it as closely as possible for unsymmetrical, just so that it kind of seems fair. Alright, so far that is 10. Go ahead and put some up here. I was trying to avoid putting them up here simply because this is where the flag and assault plate will be, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It's 12. 15, 16. So that seems like quite a bit of spawn points, but as I said, it'll even itself out. So once you have that done, that is just telling you, hey, no matter what, this is where red will spawn. Even if I had spawn points out there, red will always spawn in here, at least for now. And you're also going to want to change, which I should have done this before copying, but you'll want to change this to advanced and your team label to team spawn as well. That way it's saying, hey, this is for team and not free for all. So give me a second while I do that. That way you're not having to, like I said, I should have done this before, but I didn't, so. But as I'm doing it, I'll go over, so you'll see that Slayer is just saying any Slayer game type it'll use. Slayer delete is, as far as I know, it's new, at least new to Halo 4. I really like it. It's saying that this spawn will not be used at all whatsoever in Slayer. And you have that option for every game type as well, so that if you put up, say, a free-for-all, you can put that game label to, free-for-all delete, and it won't use that spawn in free-for-all. So, boom, if I was in the free-for-all game mode, it would just automatically say free-for-all delete, and I would be good in that game label. So that you can have more than one label there. Anyway, so now that at least 6 of them are set to team, I'll get to the others later. I want to jump to respawn zones. So you have respawn zones here. From what I've heard, they're pretty unevenly weighted as far as compared to some of the other games, but they still work. So right now you have the respawn zone medium, and respawn zone weak, and now you have respawn zone force. So I believe what that means is if you put that down, no matter whatever team or flood or something you have set to that specific one through the game labels, they'll always spawn there, period. But what I'd like to do is take one of these normal respawn zones. That way it's strong, but it's not like 100% guaranteed that you will spawn there. It takes into account a bunch of different things and super complicated to get into. But I'm going to go ahead and use the box shape here. That way I can properly contour it to the base at least a little bit better. So I'm going to widen it out to where it reaches at least the walls, which I guess is pretty wide. Boom, there. And the same thing for width, or length, I apologize. That way you're covering your entire base, and these spawn zones, if you put any regular respawn zones without a team assigned to it, it'll appropriately fit. Boom. Boom. Just like that. And then so I could just leave it like this, and that's kind of like a general size of the base, but I'm actually going to make it a little bit larger, just so, you know, if a blue's camping outside the wall there, it's not gonna just allow him to. You'll start to either spawn somewhere else or, you know, go a little bit. But so I'll probably bring it out to this wall here, make it even. Oops. Sometimes you just kind of have to guess, go with it. There we go. I can see the top up there in the top right corner. Boom, just like that. So that if they're in that little spot there, it's gonna affect it. And actually, I'm going to go all the way out to that bridge just because I'd like to. Let's go to 11. And probably 15. Pretty damn close. Pull that in a little bit so I don't have to readjust. Boom, just like that. Leave it above the base, that way if somebody does get up there, it won't affect their spawn zone, but I will be having kill zones, which I will talk about later as well. Boom, and there you have it. There is red base. Of course, I will probably be putting some weak spawn zones here in the center or around inside this tube here, just so that you're still a little less likely to spawn there if there's, say, another player or one of your teammates currently had died there. But I'm not going to worry about that quite yet, because then we'll go into if you'll place a bunch of respawn zones, or not zones, respawn points throughout the map, quite a bit of them. Like I said, Halo Force Haven has over 70, so you'll want to place a lot. That just guarantees that somebody can't just sit there spawn killing you the entire time. But you'll want to place quite a bit of these, probably at least for a map this size. I don't know, I'm going to say like 30 just to be safe. 32 if I want to go with the whole 8, you know, levels. But you'll spawn a bunch of those as well, and then you'll have a neutral spawn zone in the middle. That way if a blue or a red is in that, it's not going to matter terribly a lot, because it'll affect the other team. So if there's 2 reds and a blue, another blue won't spawn in there due to the risk. Or if there's 2 blues and a red, the red won't spawn there, again, because of the risk. So that you can see it kind of tries to balance itself out. So what I'll do is I'll throw a large neutral spawn zone here in this entire center, a weak red spawn zone, probably about half, and then same with blue, and I'll copy over blue. And that way, you kind of get the feel for it. And I don't think I'll put one. I might put a weak neutral down this to affect it, but it's not gonna really matter too much because it's so far from the two bases. But that is a simple short overview of respawn zones, respawn points, and how to effectively set up the simple Slayer respawn zones. So thank you very much for watching, and I will be continuing these in some more videos. Maybe getting into CTF, Assault, and the other game types as well. So again, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a good day.